If there's one thing you could say to a discouraged American about the upcoming election, what would it be?
Hold on.
A southern state.
Shut up. Is there anything in teeth?
Alabama.
No.
I don't know, man.
It's okay, it's okay.
Cuevas!
Quinn! This is what you have to do if you're feeling discouraged.
Don't lose hope.
You're not alone.
There's a lot of good in this country.
I'm discouraged too.
There's a lot to fight for here, but
Our country's going down the poo-poo.
we are at a moment where it needs fighting for.
Hi, I'm Citlali.
I'm Quinn.
And this is the shit show.
Sorry, that was really fun.
That was the worst thing I've ever done. I was so bad. Hi, welcome to the Shit Show, a show that combines two of America's oldest pastimes, which is drinking and politics. So if you don't have a drink, please pause and go get one. So reason why I'm here today and wanted to do something like this is I feel like a lot of people are afraid to have some real conversations about what's going on right now, and I totally get it. Both sides are very polarizing. I feel like lines are drawn the moment you speak your opinions, or maybe you have a target on your back the moment you speak your mind or speak something from the heart. So this is a space where we don't have to do that. And also I've been hearing a lot of people talking about maybe not voting, and I don't think that that's such a good idea this time around. So that is one of the main reasons why I'm here today. If there's anything that you can take away from this, it's why we should vote, why we should be a little bit more involved. Let's just have some real chats.
I think there are a lot of conversations happening in living rooms and in cars and places where there are a lot of things that are worth being said out loud that are just kind of being said in private, and I think discussing some of those things rather than having them kind of put through the political spin cycle, it would be refreshing to hear from regular people.
So really quick before we get started with our conversation today and we jump in, some rules of the discussion. Number one, you cannot say Donald Trump's name. If you say his name, you have to take a shot of this disgusting Trump juice. Oh. Yeah. All right, two, if you say any of the following or do any of the following, such as get angry or yell, if you interrupt the other person, if you say something like at the end of the day or something along those lines, and finally, if you swear, you have to take a drink. So feel free to play along. Cool? All right, you wanted to kind of talk about the main differences between these two candidates that we have, right? He who must not be named.
Sure. And
the other boy.
I think the main thing is that part of the reason that Joe Biden's been nominated as the for the Democratic Party is he's right down the middle. The right is kind of trying to paint him as further left than he is because I think the guy is just as center as they come, and the two get compared a lot. Is the other thing that sort of irks me a little bit because I feel like they're extremely different people, mostly just from that manner of character that I just described, but also there's some very real policy distinctions that I think people don't realize.
Absolutely. Well, I feel like there is a clear difference between who these two men are. First of all, in their morals. Second of all, in just how they kind of treat people, right? And who they care about. Yeah. So Joe sits on the center. Yeah. So Joe sits in the center, and he tends to be labeled as a socialist. Can we break this down really quickly? Because I don't think people understand what socialism is. I do hear the right side or the more conservative side saying things such as, these millennial socialists, Biden and his socialists. So why do they feel that way?
I think they probably view Joe Biden as a centrist who's open-minded and vulnerable in their opinion to the ideas of further left
and some of those ideas in
policy.
Your mind, what would they be, though?
Graduated tax, so taxing more heavily on the rich. A lot of folks not paying their fair share.
China.
All right, trivia time. What?
She guessed it first.
3.
6.
Wrong. It is a dozen. A dozen baby
What?
possums can fit into a teaspoon.
How old are we talking?
A dozen baby possums? I agree. I think that's what I'm hearing some of the Republicans say whenever they're like, oh, Biden's a socialist. Well, not so much. I think he's starting to balance out the scale a little bit more in terms of the economic disparity that our country is seeing and that our labor workforce is seeing right now. You know?
That's exactly right. So disparity, the gap between those who are wealthy and those who are poor or falling into poverty is widening. There's more and more people. We've currently got about 500,000 people that are homeless in the United States. And there are about 8 million people that are on the brink of poverty amid economic downturn via the pandemic. So Joe Biden's radical socialist leftist plan is to not raise taxes on anyone making less than $400,000 a year, which is the number he's harped on quite a bit. And I personally don't think I know anybody that makes that much money. And if the idea is to tax the wealthy a little bit more so that people aren't falling into poverty as frequently and as great a numbers, I don't see that as a bad thing.
I agree. I don't think it's a bad thing either, and I don't want to play devil's advocate too much, but I will say I've heard the argument saying, well, I've worked so hard my whole life. I have X amount of degrees.
Sure.
I have these designations behind my name. Why should I have to give up my 20% when I earn this 20%?
The conservative argument is that, you are taking away economic incentive. People are going to want to be rich less if they're going to be taxed more when they are rich.
Right.
Which I don't quite buy into, especially
either.
not, when it's at the expense of people that are struggling to get by, which I think is at this point what we need to be a lot more focused on.
More mindful of as well. And I think that that's a good segue kind of into something that I definitely wanted to talk about, which was how this election is going to impact females, women, and not just single women, but also women who have families, single mothers, or just women who are running the household right now. And they're working 2 to 3 minimum wage jobs, and even that isn't enough. And somehow that seems to be lost on the general population, and I don't understand how.
Yeah, so you bring up a good point, and I think one of the problems is how we measure the economy. Two of the things that Donald Trump likes, well, Can I finish?
Yeah.
Or can I?
You can finish.
You can finish.
Two of the ways that he measures the health of and the strength of the economy is unemployment and the stock market, right? And so if you've got a very low minimum wage and people are working a bunch of different jobs and still living below the poverty line, is that the mark of a healthy economy,
Mm-hmm.
even if that means that the unemployment numbers are low? No.
China.
You're getting boned. What continent?
What?
What if I catch it?
continent? Asia.
Wrong.
Africa. You hit me right in the belly button. Like, it couldn't be more belly button.
Oh God. Yes. Okay. Diving back in. The S&P 500 and the stock market is not a direct reflection on where the economy stands. That should be common knowledge. So the fact that he who must not be named likes to use that as a little bit of a proof, it's not proof. It's ain't proof of shit. But anyway.
Oh!
Yeah, homeless people don't own stocks, poor people don't own stocks, and some middle class people don't own stocks. So
Exactly.
your measurement of the stock market means very little to folks like you and I.
Exactly. Another reason why I am a little bit concerned when I hear him meaning our president right now, say and speak about like Latino or Latin American immigrants. I mean, it really not only hurts me deep down inside, it gets me really angry as well, because it's so obvious that he doesn't see us as human beings up to par with himself. Somehow we're second-class citizens. And last time I checked, none of us in this country were raised to feel that way about anybody else. We were taught, I know I was taught to always respect your peers, regardless of age or gender or anything. Now, he puts kids and detains them at the border and separates them from their families. he doesn't allow representation for those kids. These 8-year-old, 12-year-old kids who are literally standing in front of a judge and have to say why they're here, and they have no representation. That's not okay. That is just not okay. That is not how we can find another way. Okay, you're not happy with how they're coming into this country? Okay, let's find another way though. This is not the right way.
Just going off of that.
Yeah.
China. No.
I don't know. Teaching.
Beekeeper.
Dentist.
Dentist.
Yeah.
Cheers. Salud.
Salud. Prost. Oh, sweet Lord.
Where they say,
I wish I could rub my tongue on this plant. It's so terrible. I'm gonna get this taste out.
I'm getting used to it actually. I've heard a lot of white people say, I would do anything for my child. I would die for my child. I would
Yes.
give my life for my child.
Yes.
And then when brown people are crossing the border and trying to find a better life for their children, that somehow is way different.
Way different. Thank you for saying that. Also, on the same vein, you would do anything, but somehow it doesn't equate when it's somebody else who doesn't look like you or doesn't speak the same language as you.
Yeah.
That's not equality. The way he refers to Mexicans or Hispanic people as rapists and drug dealers. Damn! Like, I'm not. That's just. Is damn a swear word?
Yeah. Oh!
Those are things that, if he wins, are only going to get worse. So you said you had a couple other points, though. So differences between Orange Boy and Biden.
Sure.
And let's start with pandemic and healthcare.
Sure.
Speaking from my perspective, I'm very fortunate to still have a job despite this, be able to work from home and have healthcare benefits. I need them, as everybody does. 27-year-old woman. I've been dealing with anxiety and depression since I was 16 years old. I've been seeing a therapist since I was 18.
Oh. China.
All right.
So, Lolly,
Yeah.
what animal can't puke?
Hate that.
I don't know why, but platypus.
No.
Oh, damn.
Birds.
Birds
No.
puke all the time.
Rabbits.
They regurgitate.
Rabbits
That
cannot
was
puke.
so
Rabbits
close.
can puke?
Apparently, rabbits can puke.
Can squirrels?
I don't know.
I'd be interested to know if squirrels
I'd
can
like
puke.
to
Get out!
Not Minnesota now, alright?
Yeah.
Talk about Great Duck's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Extremely dumb.
It's the
Oh.
perfect. It's what it came from.
What the fuck is a gray duck?
It's a gray duck.
Easy.
Have you not seen a gray duck before?
You should have a drink for getting mad and yelling.
Easy. Damn, you guys really coming after Minnesota right now.
Rag on him a little bit.
So, what was I talking about? Healthcare pandemic response. Definitely have needed to use my healthcare this entire time, and I've been definitely making more trips to see my therapist during this pandemic than before. And that's just, a mental health aspect of it. I think of somebody who has diabetes or who maybe has a more chronic issue, and I can only imagine what that must be like for somebody who can't access their meds.
The pandemic has highlighted the problem with tying health insurance to employment,
Yeah?
because you've got millions of people.
And different types of employment as well.
Sure, of course, but just like, millions of people becoming unemployed because of a health crisis. So you want more people being able to see a doctor while having a job or not having a job that then disallows them from being able to see a doctor.
Right.
Just highlights the flaw in that system.
Yeah.
I've got a grandfather in hospice care right now who pays a lot of money. My rent is quite a bit here in the city of Chicago, and he pays about 10 times what I pay for his hospice care.
No.
Oh, there you go.
No.
To finish what I was saying, though, he pays a lot of money for hospice care, and part of Joe Biden's Build Back Better plan, which is one of the few policies that he's come out and sort of publicized, has a lot to do with child care and care for the elderly, in addition
most
to this
vulnerable.
public option, which is super important right now and is super expensive if you don't have an alternative. So. An iota?
Nope. Sit.
Ipsilon.
A tittle.
A tittle. Ow! You hit me in the tittle!
Tittle shot.
It was just below the tittle. That's cool. Are we gonna get the next one? Any chance? Give us an easy one, maybe we
Sure.
can.
I
Okay,
can try
cool.
to give you an easy-ish one. Ish.
These are hard.
Should I give you easy ones? Yes, please.
I don't like it.
Sure.
Interestingly enough, I think that's a great segue, right? To me, I think from a philosophical standpoint or from a moralistic standpoint, I definitely have issues with that because I feel like, well, then at that point, you're kind of telling me that you feel like a life is worth a certain amount of money.
Right.
Yikes. So let me ask you this then. According to Orange Boy, how much is one life worth?
Well, I'll just say that, one of the things that he has been unable to articulate and has not delivered as far as his promises from 2016 is he promised to repeal and replace Obamacare, and he has done absolutely nothing in terms of health care. The only thing he can
just
say...
calls it a disaster.
Right, he just calls Obamacare a disaster. He's done nothing other than eliminate the individual mandate, which was an idea based on preventative medicine, so that if everyone has health care, it's going to cost the system less. Otherwise, you've got people going to the emergency room for things that, issues that have been exacerbated
Right.
and then worsened to the point that they're more expensive. And then when they go to the emergency room, they are then put on the taxpayer's bill for way more money. Mm-hmm. And so he's gotten rid of this individual mandate, but replaced no sort of healthcare plan, and still doesn't have one. I mean, he's asked in these debates if he has one, and he still doesn't. He pivots.
He pivots. He doesn't answer the question. This pandemic obviously was a global shakeup. Every single person in the corner of this planet has been affected by this pandemic.
Sure.
Which I think is a perfect segue into another topic that you definitely wanted to talk about tonight, and I think it's great, is racial and social justice. We saw in June of 2020 in this country a spike in protests as a result of George Floyd's murder. And it was, the pandemic in a way I think did have a play because a lot of people were home, so they were able to go out and represent. Because of, not just the pandemic, but because of all these different horrible events that have now become known to the public, we have this second wave of civil rights movement going on in this country in today's day and age. In a country that is a first world country, right? And you would think something like this wouldn't happen. So going back to our candidates, we have a country that's literally kind of divided into two camps, and perhaps a middle portion that doesn't really feel or admits to going on either side, right? What do we know, considering what Biden stands for and what bad?
No.
I mean, can I ask my
Finish,
question? So, considering the racial and social injustice that's been going on right now, what do we know that Biden stands for in comparison to what Homeboy stands for? And if one or the other were to win, what does that mean for this movement? Because I know that no matter what, this is still going. And I think it's only going to get worse if Trump wins. Fuck!
Oh!
Wow, that
That is a good way
to
go.
All right, here we go.
into-
The F word is a drink.
Ooh,
the T word is a shot.
And then Quinn template, your
And
question.
then I have this.
All right.
Thank you.
So pour your
what,
shot.
What year did Facebook launch?
I'm gonna say 2005.
I'm going to go with 2006.
I was late to Facebook
Yes.
because I was still on MySpace, and I remember. So, I think on one side you've got our current president who Yes, who has clearly taken the side of law enforcement. He sort of paints any protest as leftist and Antifa, paints them as violent regardless of whether or not they actually are violent. In many cases they are not. And so clearly he makes it sort of, once again, and he does this for almost all issues, it's this side or that, and he picks a side, and there's no middle ground. And I think where folks like you and I aren't particularly satisfied, but where Joe Biden can maybe find some middle ground, is he can say there is a reason for racial justice issues to come to the forefront. There is a reason for social unrest, civil unrest. And there is also reason for reevaluating the pressure and the situations that we put on law enforcement and trying to find, some common ground and work for solutions is at least the decent answer.
I can get behind that.
Which is, I think, what Joe Biden is. He's not the perfect answer, but he's at least listening to both sides and empathizing with both sides.
I agree with that. I am a huge fan of somebody who can tell both sides of the story accurately, as opposed to just give me what information it is that you want me to take away from it. That is manipulative, and that is not okay, in my opinion, because then you're giving false information. It seems like, okay, so Biden might not be...
No.
What are they?
Let's work together here. One is humans.
Cool. Yes.
Yeah.
We got one
So
more mammal.
what's the other? That's the question.
What is human and...
This is not Jeopardy.
Yeah. What is human?
What is human and what is raccoon?
I'm gonna say human and possum.
Still close. It's a tree shrew.
Who the?
What?
No,
We're gonna die!
Here's the deal.
Wait,
I
he's the
agree.
judge.
We've got the drinks.
You called it with human right away.
Yeah.
That's
did.
one.
Are you holding your nose? Is it
Oh,
worse
you're so
now
cute.
than before?
You're like a tree shrew.
You're so adorable.
I know we were talking about social and racial justice, and I know we were discussing the difference between these two candidates and what they stand for, and what I can definitely say before we jump into this last portion of tonight's discussion is that it seems like our orange man tends to stoke the differences and stoke the aggressions. He likes the divisiveness that is happening right now, and I don't know that a leader is necessarily supposed to do that.
Yeah. So every candidate who has ever run for president has recognized that they have a decent chance of winning based on the population that they can galvanize. Our orange president, he, I think, has recognized that he does best when he can pit people literally into two groups. That's how he wins. So he has recognized that his best strategy to victory is to divide people into you with me or not. And the reality is everybody exists somewhere in the middle, and we all should be in the middle. We all should be empathizing and hearing each other and working towards commonalities. So his interest, and this is maybe the theme of Donald Trump's presidency, is that his interests are in direct contrast to the country's interests.
Absolutely.
And he will fight for his own
Absolutely.
over the rest of the country every day of the week.
100%.
Cheers.
The first word that comes to mind is C. Quinissa.
I don't know. People.
I'm not gonna get that shit.
Nah, it's all I
Yeah,
got.
it's hard.
Both of you have
I'm
a
done,
Trump
I
shot.
Can I just drink this? This is whiskey at this point.
All right, continue.
All right, yeah.
Our current president does not believe in climate change. He's given no indication that he does. He says all kinds of erroneous things like windmills give you cancer, when it's wind turbines that he's referring to, and they don't.
No.
And so, and he was asked during the debate about climate change, and he talked about like forest preservation. Climate change is real. Joe Biden at least acknowledges that much. He acknowledges that there's a huge opportunity for jobs. The renewable energy sector needs to be populated by Americans who formerly were part of the fossil fuel industry. And there's just an entire just transition to clean energy that needs to be taken advantage of and done so in an equitable way. Transition our economy and decrease our dependence on foreign oil and on fossil fuels in general. Readmit ourselves to the Paris Agreement and to any climate agreements that we have. We're going to be better off as an Earth. We're going to be better off as a country. We're going to be better off on behalf of jobs. We can do right by environmental justice communities. We can do right by communities that haven't had long-term jobs, and we can do a lot. And Joe Biden, I don't think, recognizes half of that, but he at least recognizes some part of it, and certainly far more than Donald Trump does.
Wow, 100%. I have to say there, he said something about as an Earth, and let me say, as an Earth, we definitely have a job to do and a job to uphold.
It's not worth it.
So I think this is a great way to sort of wrap up tonight's discussion and wrap up kind of our final thoughts here and final takeaways on everything we've touched on. And I think, so climate change and the Paris Agreement, the fact that we backed out of that was a big no-no. We should have never done anything of the sort. And considering
Let's
that...
say China. No.
I can do this. Mustard. Meh. Fuck.
Quinn?
Wasabi. I knew that one.
This is terrible. Okay, hold on.
I'm surprised you don't eat sushi. I can't believe you didn't get that one. Do you eat?
I do eat sushi.
Oh, get mad. Drink.
He interrupted me, so he gets
knows.
a drink.
Also drink.
He gets a drink because he interrupted me.
I agree.
Double drink.
All of those things kind of intermixed in here. It's just, I guess what I'm trying to say is, please vote.
There's a real opportunity to make the future something to look forward to rather than the doom and gloom that could be. So Joe Biden's, he's not the answer, but he's who I'm voting for emphatically, and I hope that you do the same.
That being said, we have links down below that you can click on, how to register, how to vote, whichever state that you're into. I hope you enjoyed everything that we talked about and you were able to learn something from it. And if not, at least enjoy while we're taking these disgusting shots. But without further ado, I know we both have a shot that we're left to take. And this is to hopefully Biden winning. But that's not the end, because you know what? You should vote me for president.
No, I don't want no more fucking Nerf guns. That helps. That helps a lot. That helps a lot. You see?
That's Biden. That's Biden. Yeah. Joe Biden.
That's got to be the end of the show, doesn't it?
That's the end.
What else could be the end?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
That has to be it.
If you're feeling discouraged, it's okay. You're not alone. Vote. Peace, America.